First at 4 continues.
With the recent school shooting in Michigan and several threats being made towards schools across the Commonwealth, many parents and students are worried about what the future holds for school safety. WYMT's Alyssa Williams spoke to educators and Kentucky Center for School Safety staff to learn more about their work to keep our students safe.
What was once a safe place for our children has become a source of anxiety for many parents and students alike, driven in part by seeing acts of violence unfold at other schools.
We're in a day and time where things are a little bit more dangerous than they ever have been. And, you've seen just how many things are starting to occur around our country, our state, and in our local communities.
With recent terroristic threats and school shootings, educators and those who work alongside them are working tirelessly to ensure students not only are safe in the classroom, but that they feel safe as well. However, they say that they may need some extra assistance.
This is where we really, really need help outside the school. These threats happen most of the time online, or they're being done in a covert way that parents need to help us, guardians need to help us.
Executive Director of the Kentucky Center for School Safety, John Akers, says being vigilant and keeping an eye out for suspicious behavior online could help prevent threats from moving forward.
Many loving adults, both families and in the schools, are really there to try to protect you the best you can. We have plans from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock to protect you when you're in our schools. We encourage the parents and guardians and mentors to do the same thing with their children at home.
Keeping the safety of Kentucky children in mind. Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
Akers also says educators are more prepared to respond to these issues than they have ever been in the past. We'll have more on what's being done to ensure the safety of Kentucky schools tonight at 6. And while educators work to ensure the safety of Kentucky students, several school districts in the Big Sandy and across the region are working together to send support to Western Kentucky as cleanup and recovery efforts from last weekend's deadly tornadoes continues. Several school districts from the mountains are taking up donations to lend a hand, stuffing buses in the 15th and 16th regions with water, food, toys, and more, asking communities to step up for their neighbors in need.
And we really focus on our students day to day. But, the longer I'm in this job, the more I see superintendents say, it's about all of our students, and we want to help everybody.
Superintendents say they've already received an outpouring of support from their respective communities, showing that there is strength in numbers. We'll have more about the Stuff the Bus project coming up at 6. A tornado caused heavy damage at one central Kentucky airport. Cleanup is underway today at the Danville-Boyle County Airport, where one of the airplane hangars was picked up by the winds and carried across the property. Meanwhile, the 120-mile-per-hour winds picked up many of the planes themselves. The planes were destroyed along with the buildings they were in, creating a financial loss estimated to be in the millions.
You can see there's some cleanup crew around. They're starting to gather the metal and the structures that were destroyed. And then tomorrow, hopefully, we have an aircraft recovery company out of Tennessee. They're going to make their way up here and start pulling the aircraft.
One silver lining, there's no loss of life, no one injured, plus everything lost can be rebuilt and replaced. All the airport's runways are open and operational despite the cleanup that is ongoing.
Well, weather-wise, we look to remain quiet yet again as we head through the nighttime hours tonight. We've been watching another system that may bring a few showers to the region late in the week, but otherwise we continue our mild and sunny stretch as we head into the middle of the week. I-75 camera at London showing you the plentiful sunshine we've seen throughout the day today. Not even the high clouds working in until very, very late, so looking pretty nice up the road in Mount Vernon. Not a single cloud in the sky as that sun is finally sinking below the horizon. And we are seeing plenty of sunshine. Temperatures low to mid 60s around the region. It feels pretty nice, and that's only because we're about 10 to 15 degrees above average, at least from where we should be this time of year. And we're going to continue that trend as we head into the middle of the week as well. Few showers trying to move into West Kentucky But otherwise, it has been a clear day across the state. We'll continue to see that right on into tonight, with those overnight lows getting down into the 30s in some spots, though some of us will stay in those 40s. With that WIMT weather app, you see a lot of us stay in the 40s. Wouldn't shock me, though, a few 30s popping up out there. We'll time out the latest threat for a few showers returning, and I do emphasize showers, coming up in just a little bit. Steve?
Evan, thank you. There's encouraging data on a new COVID-19 pill. CBS's Skylar Henry reports from Washington.
I think it can be available this month.
1 year after its first COVID-19 vaccine shot was given in the U.S., drug maker Pfizer says its antiviral pill could soon be available in the fight against the virus.
Vaccines are needed. People need to prevent getting sick. They should not take chances that they may not get seriously sick because there is a pill that could treat them.
Appearing on CBS Mornings, Pfizer's CEO says the treatment is nearly 90% effective in reducing the risk of hospitalization or death in high-risk unvaccinated adults if taken within 3 days of the first COVID symptoms. Lab results also showed the drug worked against the Omicron variant, expected to dominate U.S. cases in the coming weeks. The U.S. is now averaging 120,000 new COVID cases a day. Nationwide, more than 800,000 Americans have died due to the virus since the pandemic began.
We're really trying to encourage people to get that boost to bolster their protection so that they're ready should they encounter the Omicron variant.
As COVID-19 cases continue to surge in the U.S., the latest CBS News poll finds nearly 1/3 of Americans who are vaccinated have no plans to get a booster shot, in spite of evidence that regular vaccinations are not enough to protect against the Omicron variant. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
More than 200 million Americans are now fully vaccinated, and more than 3/4 of the eligible population have received at least one dose. A new study suggests it's not only possible you've had COVID and not known it, it's quite likely. Researchers at Peking University in China looked at nearly 30 million people around the world and determined about 40% of COVID cases are asymptomatic. The major problem with this is asymptomatic people can still pass COVID to others. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention believes the actual number of COVID cases in the U.S. is 4 times what has been reported. It's been 1 year since the first Americans received FDA-authorized COVID-19 vaccines. Here's New York ICU nurse Sandra Lindsay getting her dose on December 14th of last year. She was one of the first people to get the shots. The vaccine anniversary comes as the U.S. passes 50 million COVID-19 cases. About 800,000 people in the U.S. have also died as a result of the virus. Roughly 60% of Americans are now vaccinated against COVID-19. Dr. Anthony Fauci says booster shots could help in the fight against the Omicron variant. Tuesday, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases shared what scientists have learned so far about vaccine efficacy.
What happens is that if you get 2 doses of a Pfizer or a Moderna, the protection against infection itself is dramatically down. However, what is the somewhat encouraging news is that the protection against hospitalization and severe disease, although it goes down to around 70% from around 93%, when you get boosted, it brings it back up to the level of pretty good protection, which is a very strong argument for people getting their boosters.
At least 485 million doses of coronavirus vaccine have been administered so far in the U.S. The Senate advanced a bill to raise the national debt limit. It will raise the national debt limit by $2.5 trillion and extend it into 2023 as lawmakers race to avert a catastrophic default ahead of a critical midweek deadline. A final Senate vote to approve the debt limit increase is expected at any time. The House will next have to approve the same legislation before it can be sent to President Biden to be signed into law. Coming up on First at 4, another economic indicator of increasing inflation, and new research shows many are handing over the adulting duties when feeling under the weather.